Hey everybody, it's here's Ox Bigley, and today I wanted to cover something, big warning here, political. Two situations I've seen crop up a lot, so fair warning on this. Now I'm going to try to keep my personal opinions out of this for the simple fact of examining the issue from a objective point of view. Try to, at least. With that said, and those two issues that have constantly been coming up lately that I've been hearing about are the meaning and interpretation of both the First and Second Amendments. Now, I I have my ideas as far as what I think that they mean, but just for the simple fact of clarity, let us read what the First Amendment is, and then we'll move on to the Second Amendment after discussing the first. So, uh, here, sorry, over here, states as follows: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Now, I'm going to leave that up on screen right there. And now, what on the surface, obviously, it's saying Congress is not allowed to make laws to prohibit or give special preferential treatment to any religion. Okay, that sounds fine. Or abridging the freedom of speech. Abridging. We often use that term nowadays. I do apologize for that sound effect that came through. My computer did a thing live. The word abridged typically means to shorten or to condense. So that's interesting. That wording is interesting. Or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. That's a bit of a shaky subject at the moment. I'll leave you to discuss that. Or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and there's a comma, so it's related yet separate, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. In other words, there's a group of people pissed off about something that's going on that the government should take care of, and basically this is saying, you have absolutely nothing against you coming together peacefully and addressing these issues with the government. Nothing is stopping you from doing that. Now, where this seems to fall apart is when we start. There are people out there in the political spectrum that want to seemingly limit free speech. There are people who say that this covers all speech, including what some people considered to be hate speech. Now, some people will group in with hate speech, and I happen to agree with it, any call to harm or any call to action like that, or any declaration that someone needs to die for whatever ridiculous reason, or that people should go out and try to assassinate somebody based on frivolous things. So that is already illegal. To incite riot or to incite violence, that's already illegal. So and that's not exactly limiting free speech, because it's already illegal. It is a criminal act. So at least that's where I'm coming from with this. like I said, I'm trying to be as non uh, opinionated as possible. I'm just trying to show what this is and go from there. Um, Interesting things to note. Again, observational. So that covers the abridging, of the freedom of speech or of the press. Now, it has been said over countless times over the decades of how many people, especially when it comes to reporters or anything else like that, is, we often see this in movies or TV shows, whatever, where reporters getting too close to the bone or too close to a raw nerve when it, regarding somebody in local power or authority, politically, or like a mayor or governor or whatever, when it comes to, just, stay out of this. And the editor's basically saying, I'm not going to run this story. That's a thing. To believe otherwise is ridiculous. To believe that editors do not veto truth pieces like that is an ignorant idea. It is a known thing. It does happen. Let's get over it. So the freedom of the press in that aspect, like, when it comes to celebrity gossip and all this other stuff like that, or not getting all the facts of a story before it's reported, it doesn't mean the freedom of the press to reinterpret situations and report it based on whatever preconceived idea that I have wanting to go forward with it. That's not what it's talking about. It is legitimately, at least from what I can tell, the freedom of the press to report truth, to report factually accurate things. That's just the way I see it. I don't see an issue with that because that's good. So, now, on to the other part. The right of the people to peaceably or peacefully to assemble and petition the government for redress of grievances. Now, all I have to ask of anybody watching this, look and see who is adhering to this. There are groups out there who are doing the complete and total opposite of this. People who are basically domestic terrorists, and they're going out there and they're trying to harm people, just because they happen to politically disagree with them. So, just based on this dialogue alone here that says the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government to redress their grievances, for a redress of grievances. Look at who isn't doing this, and think about what that actually could potentially mean. Now, my solution to this, because this is using, somewhat archaic language. This was written back in 1800s or something like that. So let's say 1700s. So yeah, it can be confusing the way it's written. I will completely understand if somebody reads this and doesn't fully grasp it because of the language written therein. Now, let's go over to the Second Amendment. Pop that up. I have it highlighted because there's other language on the screen. And that didn't work. That's fine. You know where it is. Anyway, Second Amendment. This one has also a lot of confusion with it as well. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms will not be infringed. Now, a lot of people have vastly different views on what this means. Again, on the surface, what does it look like it's saying? It's saying that, again, at the time, security of a free state, it is often stated that, well, the only way state would not be free is if it's over-controlled by its governing officials. So it would be the, kind of like when this was written, you had England coming in and America wanted to defend itself. So yeah, you had civilians taking up arms and acting as a militant group in order to defend their land. And with that idea is, well, if my local, state, local, national government goes down the toilet, then let us take up arms and retake our land. It is also, because of that, I mean, you have to be prepared for that, and it's also inferred by people that this is simple self-preservation, the right to defend yourself, that kind of a thing. Now, people have also stated that this is merely a call. It is an outdated idea because we don't need militias anymore. Some people liken a militia unto police force, which, of course, at least where I live, it is a county police force, and they're spread pretty thin, unfortunately, because of that. The city I lived in used to have their own police force. So, and it has been documented. Again, I'm looking at everything objectively, and that's what I'm trying to do. It is shown that when the people of an area have an open or concealed carry, majority of people do, crime seems to go down. That's just a statistical fact. You can't dispute that. So that's interesting, to say the least. Also, so some people say that this is outdated. It's also, they infer that it's only in regards to the weaponry that they had at the time, which I've seen documents saying that, well, it's one shot at a time. You have to stop, reload, pour, buckshot and powder and this and that and whatever, and it's a lengthy process. They had no intention of it being multi-fire guns or whatever. Which at the time, around the time when this was written, there were multi-fire weapons. It's historical fact. You can look it up. So that's kind of an iffy thing. Now, what is my suggestion to fix this issue with both of them? Again, language can be misconstrued, especially in written form. Language can be misconstrued. It can be misinterpreted. It can be misunderstood. Simple as that. So here's what my proposal is. Let me go ahead and get rid of this off the screen. So here's what my idea is, and I would advocate this solely to clarify the whole situation. What I believe should be done is, I think that government or government officials, state, local, state, Senate, whatever, should get together for each of these amendments, have two interpretations of what it should mean that will amend the amendments. And for each one, and each of the two rewordings, if you will, or reinterpretations or clarifications, and the reason why I say two, one on each side, of the idea of what it's supposed to mean. Number one, should hit all points originally addressed in the amendment. Okay. Number two, should be in plain, simple to understand English. Why do I say that? Well, because if you've ever tried to read a legal document, you have better luck understanding an Englishly translated Blu-ray player instruction manual. It's ridiculous. It's more confusing than it is helpful. So if a 5-year-old can understand what the writing is and means, you done a good job. Okay. If a kid in middle school, can understand it, it has to be easy to digest and understand something that is so plain nobody can look at it and go, I don't know what that means. That's what I'm talking about on both sides. With both of those amendments, so they need to have an addendum to them. Now, on top of that, why do I say 2 versions of this? Because what needs to happen, and I would say, I don't know if you want to wait for, until the next official, 4-year increment of voting or just a special situation. Put it to the American people. Have both addendums for the First Amendment, both addendums for the Second Amendment, and have the American people vote on which one of those 2 addendums they want to be the interpretation of that amendment. It's that simple. And then that way, instead of a bunch of people who clearly have their own agendas in Washington voting, or if one party or another has majority rule in those situations, yeah, it's going to lean one way towards the other. This is the best way to openly get a legitimately balanced idea of where the country as a whole stands on these situations. I feel it's a very simple solution. I feel that it's not a difficult thing to ask. That way it's set in stone, as it were, and there you go. I think the only opposition to this would be some people wouldn't want this for the sake that then these amendments cannot be reinterpreted or misconstrued in order to adhere to their own set of ideas, preconceived ideas. That's probably the only opposition that an idea like this would have. So with that said, do me a favor. Give me your ideas. Discuss in the comments. You want to call me names? Go for it, whatever. I'm quite used to it. But, discuss the situation. I want to hear from you. I can guess what a majority of people are going to say, but I feel an idea like this will just do nothing but help the situation. There is so much confusion right now about these 2 subjects that I don't understand why this can't be done. Other than, the opposition that I stated earlier. So it cannot be misused. Simple as that. With that said, thank you very much for watching this video. Please discuss in the comments, and I will see you in whatever next video I end up releasing. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.